What's up everybody, I'm Dear Gamer. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing the skill overview to let you know what the stats on this game are about, and also I'm going to be talking about the elemental damage and how they affect you depending on which one you go with, example fire, lightning, etc. Then I'm going to be talking about different possible builds, the builds I'm using, and what are some possibilities out there. I know the game is new, but this is something I want to explore, and I encourage you guys to share your builds as well. So without further ado, let's dive in. So starting off, we have our core stats on the left hand side. We have body, heart, stamina, etc, etc. This is the area where you can allocate your points depending on what kind of build you want to go through. So on the left hand side we have body, which if you press the option button, it lets you know what they can do. Affects life resistance to paralysis. Weapon mainly affected by body is spears. And if you go down, heart affects your Kai. Weapons affected by that. As far as when it says affected, it means the damage boost goes to these items or weapons. So you have swords and bows. With heart, stamina determines how much life you have and how much weight you can carry, and this affects mainly cannon weapons. Strength is for heavier weapons like axes. Skill is where I spend a lot of my points because I use dual swords, and if you see here, it says the amount required to activate special effects of technical weapons and armor such as dual swords and guns. Dexterity for ninjutsu attacks. We want to get our Naruto on. Next is Omi magic, which I'm intrigued by, and I'm starting to use more and more as I get later in the game. So we'll talk about that later on as well. Then spirit. Spirit is important because it affects the abilities you get when you equip different spirit guardians. For example, I have this guy on right here, and if you look at yours and it says spirit required level 10, spirit required 15, it means once you allocate enough points in this area down here, you are able to utilize the effects of it, which there's a lot of good effects that these summons give you. Like right now I have unlimited ninjutsu, defense against paralysis, damage from beyond, and I recover health when I kill the final enemy, and I get agility bonus based on agility damage bonus based on how much agility I have. And currently I have a B class rating in my agility, so it gives me a nice little buff in my strength. So back to here, on the battle stats we have melee weapon 1 and we have attack. That's the regular damage a weapon can do. Right now my weapon is 41 because I maxed out my familiarity, which I'll talk about in a second, and so that does the overall damage I can do. Next is break. Break is when I'm attacking an enemy and how much it takes for me to break their guard in order for me to get that red grapple symbol so I can do a little stab on them. And parry means how much damage, how much Kai I actually lose when I'm guarding against enemy attacks. And it goes on and goes on from melee weapon 2, ranged weapon, and ranged weapon 2. On the bottom, defense determines how much damage you take, which is pretty straightforward. The next one is resistance to guard breaks, as far as when you're guarding, how enemy can stagger you. And in this game, being staggered is a detriment to your ability, because if you get staggered, that's the situation where enemy can come in and essentially one-shot you, which we don't want. Next we have damage against resistance against fire, resistance to water, wind, etc, etc. You could also increase these by equipment, and you can increase these by putting points in the body. Last we have paralysis, and we have Yogi Realm. Yogi Realm is when your enemies pull up that little gray little force field on the floor and you can't regain stamina. This affects how much stamina you're able to regain at that point. On the bottom left we have our level, Amarita. This is our currency in the game. Life, key, equipment, weight, and agility. Right now I have a B, so I'm getting a nice bump from my weapon. Then we have our gold. If I were to go to here, this is a screen where it shows your familiarity with that weapon. And the cool thing about this weapon, it's kind of realistic. If you use a weapon more and more and more, you start to get more familiar with it, you start to get more comfortable. I'm sure you start to figure out like different abilities or different attacks able to use with that weapon in a real life scenario. But in the game, it actually affects how much attack your weapon does. So the more familiar you are with it, the more the increase of it amplifies the effects that the weapon has. So my attack is maximum for level 411. When I got this weapon, it was at 376, I believe. So by upgrading my familiarity, it now allows me to have more damage. You look at my final damage blow, it increased, my fire damage increased, my skill, and my familiarity damage bonus as well was a C, which means that the more familiar I am with this weapon, the more damage it does. And these skills are all interchangeable. You can reforge until you get the skills you want, but bear in mind that you do need resources such as Amarita, gold, and spirit fragments in order to do so. So this brings me back to builds. What build am I currently using, and what build are you using? So currently I am using the dual katana build. I'm essentially using a pure dual katana build because I'm focusing my energy in two areas: skill, which greatly affects my damage, and next is going to be heart. And heart is important to me because it affects my ki. The more ki I have, the more attacks I can do. Since the dual wield sword, I have to strike a lot more in order to take out more damage on the enemies. It's very important to me to have a full bank of ki available to me to utilize. Next, I got some points in heart because I don't want to get one shot by all the enemies. And one thing I'm considering adding to my palette as well is some magic, because I'm starting to like using the fire talisman, and I want to start seeing how that could benefit me more even in battle. So I'm thinking about spending a little bit of more points in magic to see if I get the most bang for my buck with some buffs for my character. If you go back to weapon for a second, you can actually see the attack multiplier in the bottom right, and then what this means is your weapons actually scale in damage according to what these skills are. So you see a change to attack. It gives me a plus C bonus if I have points allocated in heart, and you can see the most impactful one is skill. I get a plus B bonus to damage if I have, depending on how much points I've allocated to skill. So this is where you know, based on the weapon you want to use, you know where to spend your points. So let's talk about elements. If you're wondering if you can add different elements to your weapon, you can add lightning, you can add fire, you can add earth. You're like, wow, what do these things do and how are they beneficial to me? So if you add fire increases damage over time, meaning the enemies are going to burn and burn and burn and burn until the fire expires. Then you can apply it again to get them continuous damage. Lightning, what lightning does is it slows down the attack speed and the movement of the enemy. It's kind of like slowing them down so you can get some good attack on them. If you go with earth is pretty cool because it makes sense. It makes them heavier, and the heavier they are, it means that they consume more ki for their attacks, which allows you to grapple enemies a lot more. Water, the next ability, actually reduces physical defense for the enemy, so that means your next attacks following that attack will be a lot stronger. Wind lowers the enemy's break resistance and parry resistance, so that means you can get a lot more break attacks on them and parry attacks as well. And next is going to be poison. Poison is cool because it drains enemies' health over time, and it says that poison actually does more damage than fire. I need to test that out to see how it does in battle, to see if it's actually true. But poison is one I actually have as well because I like the fact of damaging enemies, and it's true because I noticed when I do poison attacks on enemies, it drains like 100, 200, 178, while fire does around 40, 40, 50, 40, 40, 40. So over the long term, it seems that poison does more damage. The next one is paralysis. Paralysis does exactly what it says. It freezes the enemy for a period of time, allowing you to either run away, get some good attacks on the enemy, or rethink your strategy. The last effect that we can put on our enemies is confusion, and confusion confuses the enemy, slows them down, and lowers their guard, making them easier to stagger and easy to attack. So now it's open to you guys. What are some builds you're using? Different possible builds you can do. You can do a sword caster by using heart with the katanas and magic. You can do a spirit guardian build by spending a lot of your points in here. You'll be able to recall your guardian a lot faster, do a lot more damage as well. You could do a dexterity ninja where you focus on swords like the skill and dexterity, allowing you to utilize ninjutsu and dual katanas or guns for range attacks. You could do a full strength build by focusing a lot of your points on axes and stamina in order to carry those heavy weapons, not be slowed down as much, but also do a lot of damage at the same time. This next screen is just additional stats, let you know what our total Kai pulse is, our samurai points, and also our proficiency with different weapons and ability. Later in the game, when you want to get access to specific dojos, they require you to have a proficiency towards a specific weapon. So by doing this, you're able to unlock more abilities. But ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you find it beneficial. Share below your tips or your build as well, and anything I might have missed out in this video. You guys have always been amazing. You guys are always supporting the channel, and I love the fact that we communicate with each other, and we're always looking to help each other out in the comment section below. Well, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and join the Smooth family. Till next time, dear gamer, signing out.